What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel as I continue to prepare you guys as much as humanly possible ahead of Madden 20's launch for franchise mode, as I am going to be breaking down the top 10 trade targets that you should look for on the defensive side of the ball for your connected franchise modes in Madden 20. Now, there's a bunch of targets, like literally much like the offensive video that I did. I had to cut the list down to 10. I actually got 12. We're going to start with 2 honorable mentions. There is really good value. I feel like with the adjusted rating scale, there's just a bunch of value everywhere. And if I don't sound super enthusiastic, it's not because I'm tired. It's not because I'm not excited. I'm literally getting over, I don't know, like this summer cold nonsense. My throat is absolutely killing me. But you know, we gotta continue that YouTube grind, baby. I gotta keep dropping that knowledge. So today we're gonna look through 10 players. And, you know, people, I haven't had much time to look at the feedback and the comments from the first video about the offensive players, but I'm trying to get realistic trade targets. I'm not going to be, like, telling you guys to get backups, like third-string wide receivers that are still going to command a fairly high price because they are technically starters, and be like, you know, go trade for these guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get you guys some realistic targets that it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to try and move for these players, because sometimes we've seen, especially last year in Madden 19, sometimes trade logic doesn't make sense. You could straight up try to trade Tom Brady for like a 73 overall fullback. Depending on the team, they might not accept it. So I'm trying to make your guys' lives easier. And for the most part, a lot of these players, I will say, are for user teams. If you're using Sim, they might not be the best because we don't know their dev traits. This is for those of you, like I assume 90% of you actually play your games. So these guys all will be fairly fun to use as users. So starting up at honorable mention number 1, we have defensive tackle Tristan Hill. The rookie from the Dallas Cowboys has a 72 overall, generous rating. He's defensive tackle 4 on the roster, so that is like fringe starting position for depth, like what the roster requirement is. But his stats look really good. He's 21, comes in with 83 acceleration, 86 strength, 81 pursuit, 74 finesse move, and 81 tackle. So he's going to be a guy that I assume you could probably also include. Will have a nice dev trade because he's a Dallas Cowboy. But definitely a player to keep an eye on. I think he's very versatile as well. If you're running a 4-3 or a 3-4, he could fit in pretty much anywhere along that defensive line. And then going honorable mention number 2. Only reason why he's honorable mention number 2 is just because where he is on the depth chart. We're going to talk about Voskan Joseph, the middle linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. He's only a 64 overall, but he is middle linebacker 3 right now on the Bills depth chart. So because of that, because they're going to probably roster 3 middle linebackers, he may be a little bit more difficult to trade for, but he is 21. He's a rookie out of Florida. Comes in with 90 acceleration, 86 speed, 79 pursuit, and 82 hit power. So he's going to be one of those underrated targets that are going to be a very fun user middle linebacker. You know, there was another, you know, we talked about him in other videos. Blake Cashman, too, middle linebacker from the Jets. He's middle linebacker 3, but because they run a 3-4, they're going to have more linebackers roster. So it's going to be even harder to get him than, say, Voskan Joseph, who the Bills run a 4-3. So, like I said, I'm not include. There's a bunch of guys that just missed out in the cut because I feel like for roster requirements, if you know, I'm gonna try to include guys that are gonna be maybe deemed surplus requirements, so that they either gonna get cut, they might find their way on the practice squad, or because the team just doesn't have room for them, they could be on the trade block. So now that we're done the honorable mentions, let's jump into the official top 10. And at number 10. We're starting with a 60 overall player, but my God, the upside is immense. And that is cornerback Steven Denmark. Cornerback 7 right now on the depth chart for the Chicago Bears. He's a rookie out of Valdosta State. If I remember, that's honestly, I'm trying to remember if that's where he came from. Because I remember his pro day was absolutely insane. So he's 6'3", 220 pounds, comes in with 91 speed, 94 acceleration, 72 pursuit, 70 press, 97 jumping, as well as 73 catching. I can't tell you if he's a converted wide receiver. Usually these are the kind of numbers and stat lines we see for a converted wide receiver, but for a 60 overall corner, obviously he's kind of a cupcake style roster with a 60, but understanding the talent, I mean, you guys watch Pink Slips. You guys know you always find a diamond in the rough. We found like 3 or 4 of those guys last season. So getting a guy that's only a 60 overall corner may seem kind of terrifying. Like, oh my God, I'm actually going to play a 60 overall corner in my franchise mode. But knowing the rating scale this year, it might not be that absurd. But I just think ultimately a guy like that is a project and a half. With that size, you probably have some versatility to move him all around in the secondary. And sign me up, man. Just coach him up, work on the technical side, work on his coverages, and let his athletic traits do the rest of the talking. Go to player number 9. Speaking of pink slips, he returns. He was a big member for our pink slips team, and that is Kylie Fitz, another member of the Chicago Bears. He's 24 years old, a left outside linebacker. He's currently outside linebacker number 3 on the Bears, so he could be deemed surplus requirement. He comes in with 83 speed, 88 acceleration, 83 strength, 78 pursuit, 78 tackle, and 72 block shed. One thing I have noticed is at a premium this year is block shed. Block shed usually affects guys stopping the run, but it's, you can't outright say that it doesn't have anything in terms of affecting the passer. It's block shedding. It's getting off your blocks and getting ready to make the next move. But block shed just across the board, I think was one of those things with the brand new ratings for Madden 20 is they took a look. I know for a fact they looked at jumping. They looked at throw power, and I think block shed is definitely another one of those attributes. They haven't officially said that. I haven't been able to find that anywhere. But just from looking at the stats, especially as much as I've done the last 2 days making these lists, block shed's at a premium. When you get a guy that's a 65 overall linebacker with those physical traits and 72 block shed, sign me up. And he brings that versatility, more so, in my opinion, a 4-3 end than a 3-4 outside linebacker because his coverage stats aren't very impressive. Going on to player number 8. We're going to talk about a 75 overall player, and that is Charlton, defensive end from the Dallas Cowboys. And the 24-year-old is currently listed at right end 4. So very much surplus requirement if you're looking at that Dallas Cowboys roster. He's a 75. He's 24. Plenty of youth on his side if you need a young edge rusher to take a guy like Charlton and try to develop him. His stats are fairly exciting as well. 88 acceleration, 80 pursuit, 75 finesse move, and 82 tackling. So he's a very nice base. He has the age. He has great value. I think he's definitely should be a top target. He's probably one of those guys I would assume that Dallas is going to be looking for a nice little return in your franchise modes on the trade block. But if not, you should know, go look at that Cowboys roster because we like to rip on them getting generous ratings. It's time to be that vulture. Be that vulture going overhead. Looking at those generous ratings that the Cowboys ratings guy or whatever gives to the Cowboys, and in your franchise mode, abuse it and go in and get some young talent because they have so much from top to bottom on their roster. Unjustly, I could say, from a biased perspective as an Eagle fan. But Charlton, number 8 on our list, a very nice looking prospect. Going to number 7, we're going to start with the man with the fastest 40-yard dash time at the 2019 Combine, even though his Madden rating doesn't really reflect that. We have strong safety Cedric Wood, 61 overall player. Strong safety 3 right now on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The 22-year-old, even though he ran a 4.29, he only got 93 speed, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I get like you have play speed, doesn't always mesh up with combine speed, but in what world does a 4.29, unless there was like a misread, only get you 93 speed? He probably should have got 95, 96. Like Mecole Hardman got better speed than him, which is just asinine if you ask me. But still, Cedric Wood still looks pretty intriguing as a 61 overall player. 93 speed, 72 pursuit, 70 tackling, 90 jumping, and 83 hit power. So again, another guy, his cover stats were in the 60s. But I think he could be looked at a nickel. He's definitely an intriguing option at safety. He's always going to be a great player to utilize on your special teams, especially when you're covering them. So I think there's some really good value there. And because he's a little bit buried on their depth chart, the safeties, there might be a chance that he ends up on the practice squad. You won't actually have to trade for him. But if not, if you're looking for a little bit of help, he's only 61. Again, I'm trying to get you guys some realistic trade targets that aren't going to cost you an armor. Like I could literally, like DeMonte KZ, a free safety, had 9 or 7 picks last season. He's free safety 2. Technically, you probably could try to trade for him because it's second free safety, but it's going to be annoying because I think the team like the Falcons are going to kind of bend you over. And also, why am I giving you the synopsis of the video 8 minutes in? It's those guys that I'm not really going to tell you about, or guys that I expect to be popular options on the trade block. Like, remember last year they had that Chargers corner Trevor Williams was like an 82 corner. 23, 24, something like that. He was everywhere. Why would I tell you about something that everyone's going to know? I'm trying to get you guys those diamond in the rough. Guys you might not think of when you're looking for trade targets in your franchise mode. So that's why I said Cedric Wood's only 61, but the stats don't lie. Going to player number 6, another low-rated player with a great base, and it's going to be Ulysses Gilbert III, middle linebacker from the Pittsburgh Steelers, 62 overall. He's a rookie. He's 22. Comes in with 88 speed, 90 acceleration, 77 pursuit, 81 tackle, and here's the kicker. They nerfed and they tried to prevent the super linebacker this year by making linebackers jumping generally, unless you're known great athlete, lower. So that makes sense. So when you get a guy like Ulysses Gilbert, he's not the tallest guy, but he comes in with 93 jumping, I would jump all over a guy with elite physical attributes like that and try to grow him into something special at the linebacker spot. So yeah, he is only a 62 overall, but the basis and framework is there for him to develop into a very good user middle linebacker. Going to player number 5, we have at free safety Varus Moore from the San Francisco 49ers. Free safety 4 on their roster. That's pretty, easy to trade for. He was a member of the Pink Slips. Really good, got a bunch of picks. A lot of user picks too. I loved him last season. Comes in with 94 speed, 71 pursuit, 73 press, 91 jumping, and 83 hit power. So he's a very versatile player. Big corner. Converted, I believe. I think he's converted corner out of Southern Miss. 6'2", got good size to him. Tremendous athlete. Like Fitz, who we talked about at number 9. A proven underrated sleeper that we utilized last year in the Pink Slip series, carrying that over into Madden 20. Going to prospect number 4, we have Derrick Rivers, defensive end from the New England Patriots. He's a 68 overall player, left end 4 right now on the Patriots depth chart, so kind of surplus requirement. Looking at his attributes, 89 acceleration, 83 strength, 77 pursuit, 70 block shed, and 82 hit power. Again, with block shed being at a premium. For example, Yannick Ngakoue, one of the better young edge rushers in the National Football League, only has 59 block shed. Again, we understand block shed is more weighted towards run stuffers, but still, there's a breaking point. There's a threshold that needs to be set. So when you get a guy like Derrick Rivers who can come in with 70 block shed, along with those other good attributes, he's young, he's just kind of buried on the Patriots depth chart. I think it makes him a very attractive trade target. That's why I put him at number 4. Going to number 3, very popular player this time last year, kind of got buried on the depth chart right now where he's at, and that is Shakima Griffin, right outside linebacker 3 right now for the Seattle Seahawks. He comes in with really good stats. Obviously, he destroyed the combine. 91 speed, 83 pursuit, 74 finesse move, and 85 jumping. Because he's behind KJ Wright and Michael Kendricks, I think there's going to be a chance just with the AI that he could end up on the practice squad. You might not even have to trade for him, but if he does, I think the team's just going to, the AI at least is going to just weigh where he is in regards to the depth chart, and his price should be somewhat affordable. So definitely take a look at Shakima Griffin. Obviously, easy person to cheer for. Everyone should know his story by now, so he's definitely the kind of guy that more often than not you would like on your team. I know right now, for the Raiders franchise mode, I'm probably going to be kicking the can on a lot of these potential targets. Moving to number 2. We have Taekwon Lewis, defensive end, 72 overall from the Indianapolis Colts. He's 24, entering his sophomore season. He's currently right end number 3, so he's right on that fringe of, usually teams will keep 3 ends, but he could be potentially swayed, moved. He comes in with 83 speed, 89 acceleration, 83 strength, 82 pursuit, 77 block shed, and 81 hit power. So across the board, an exceptional base to be starting upon with some really good athletic traits. Now, he is, like I said, DE3. Teams might be wanting to hold on to those guys, but I think when push comes to shove, you're going to have a lot easier time trying to negotiate for a DE3 than you are a DE2. Now, that may sound kind of simple, but I'm just foreseeing if people are talking about trade targets, it might just be straight up saying any backup you should be able to trade for. DE3, though, it's going to make your life a little bit easier, and you might just kind of sleep on a guy like Taekwon Lewis, who I think is really, really good for a defensive end. I'm excited to potentially try to trade for him as well in my Raiders franchise. And then finishing up at number 1, a player that kind of has got forgotten about. At one time, he was the DK Metcalf, the holy you-know-what from the combine rookie that everyone wanted to see. Never panned out, but he's still a beast in Madden, and that is Obi Melifonwu. Strong safety, 72 overall on the New England Patriots. He's strong safety 3. Not every team rosters him, so he could be a bubble type guy, so it should be fairly easy to trade for him. And his stats are ridiculous. So he's 6'4", 92 speed, 78 pursuit, 75 tackle, 81 press, 97 jumping, and 86 hit power. I've always disagreed with him having a big hit power because he's a huge guy. Everyone just assumed that he was a big hitter. In real life, you look at his tape, kind of more so reminds me of like George Oloka from the Bengals, or now I think he's on the Cowboys. Big safety, but not a big hitter, more of a long, rangy cover guy. Either way, his Madden ratings are phenomenal. I mean, this is a guy you can move at linebacker if you really want to have a freak user. He's going to be developed pretty nice at safety. He is 25, so he's starting to get there a little bit in age, but there still is plenty of time to develop him. And hell, again, bring him back to our Raiders franchise. Might want to bring him back. Might want to reunite him if possible and pair him back there with maybe my third safety with Voskan Joseph and Jonathan Abram. But Obi Melifonwu is an absolute freak. I don't know how he still holds a 72 rating. Did he even play last year for the Patriots? He was like almost a bust, at least relative to his draft hype and the offseason stock. when he was with the Raiders. But hey, it is what it is. And for me, he's my #1 defensive trade target. So there you go, everybody. Hopefully you could take this knowledge we dropped on the offensive and defensive side of the balls into your franchise modes. Hopefully this cold and sore throat is gone so I can go back to my normal self when Madden 20 drops. I preloaded the game this morning on my PC, so I can't wait to bring you guys the first rebuild on Wednesday morning? Wednesday after, probably Wednesday night. I think the game drops 12 o'clock my time on Wednesday. So, probably Wednesday evening, you'll have a first rebuild. Surprise, surprise, when you guys will figure out who that is. But anyways, if it is your first time stopping by and you want to jump on that train before the Madden 20 season hype train begins, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed, and until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.